All right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Steeler Nation, and anyone else who may be tuning in to a Steelers show. Welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Steel Basement. What is happening, everybody? Hope everybody is well. Hope you're doing good out there. Hope you're healthy. You know, like I try to maintain, as you can see, got the dry fit on, guys. Just got out of the gym. Went to the gym later tonight. I usually go in the morning, but I wasn't feeling it this morning, and I did not have to commute today. This was, I'll be at home all week. Did not have to go into work today, so decided to, my wife and I both went and we hit the gym, you know, while my son was at basketball practice, but that's what it is. What's happening, guys? Hope everybody is well. Again, welcome to the latest and greatest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. And I look forward to chopping it up with you guys for a bit tonight, having a little bit of fun, talking about some Pittsburgh Steelers. And let's get to it. And just as a reminder, let me go ahead and pull it up right now, guys. Again, if you guys want to call into the show, I know some of you guys have asked how to do that. Right now, Discord is the only option we have. That's all we have. I'm still looking for a secondary option like we had in the past, which was Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio no longer exists, so therefore we have to use the bootleg version. And the reason why I call it bootleg, again, guys, because I don't have any control over the queue per se. I can't queue you up. Unfortunately, you have to have an account, you know, all of that annoying stuff that I hate, but I also hated not being able to talk to you guys, man. So this is what we have to offer. And yeah, we're going to make it the best we can. So let me drop the link in the chat, and I'm going to blow through my topics, man, so I can open up the call lines for you lovely viewers. So let's say hello to the early commenters. What's going on, Rajon39? Lanisha, the lovely Lanisha in the building. Hello, Lanisha. Always good to see you. Always good to hear from our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation. And you guys know the routine. Treat them with care. Roll out that red carpet and make them feel at home. My guy, CT Pittman, in the building as well. My man, Mark Cunningham, is in the building. Let's see. He says, nice thumbnail, well played. What did I use for the thumbnail for this one? Let me see. I usually use the same thumbnail for Terrible Towel Tuesday. It's you know, one of those animated GIFs, if you will, that, you know, my brother-in-law made for me. I actually got to reformat it because it's stretched out. That's what you should be seeing. But yeah, you know, that's the funny one. I use that every week for Terrible Towel. I usually try to use a theme thumbnail for the post-game show. But yeah, I'm glad you like it. Who else we got up in here, man? Vista Light is in the building. Who is this? Is it Fake Ease? Is it Fake Easy? I don't know what that's saying there, but shout out. He says, what up, Sim? Shout out from Norfolk. What's happening, man? VA always in the building. You know how it is. You know how it go. VA, I'm always going to represent the home state. VA in the building. Who else we got up in the chat, man? Hold on, guys. Let me take a look. Who else off up in here, man? Ollie Howard. The infamous Tim, my man, is in the building. Steeler Cards in the building. My guy. Who else? My good brother Kenyon in the building. Hey, Sade. What's happening, Sade? Haven't seen Sade in a while, I don't think. But I know you're here with us always in spirit. So definitely good to see you. Again, guys, lay out the red carpet for our lovely ladies of Steeler Nation. My good brother Kenyon in the building. And many others. Not going to sit here and bore you guys to death with reading names. Let's get right to it. Let's start fast, guys, so I can get to the calls fast. Let's see. What do I have? Nothing really important. I mean, listen, it's the same thing every Tuesday in terms of how the show is conducted. We're going to talk a little bit about, you know, Coach T, what he talked about in his presser. You know, there was a couple things that he said, just a couple, that I want to share and talk about. Also, we'll talk about, basically light recap of, the game. I have rewatched it. And then, of course, we're going to have to talk about, the elephant in the room. Everyone is talking about Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph, and I'll share my thoughts after rewatching the game. And then outside of that, man, I think that's all I got. Let me make sure, though. Let me look at my notes. Hold on. Let me make sure. Of course, we'll talk about the injury report. But I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Hold on. Sometimes, your mind just be racing and you miss stuff. Yeah, that's about it. So let's get to it, man. The injury report. As we know, Aaron Rodgers, now we do know he has a fracture in his left hand. It is the non-throwing hand. So we'll see how that goes. But Mike Tomlin said he'll need to protect himself. So they're basically going to let them know how he feels, and then, they'll do whatever they're going to do later in the week. So obviously he mentioned tomorrow being the first day of practice, he probably wouldn't do much. He talked about later in the week, they'll do something to see how well he can handle the ball, how well he could throw, how well he could catch, a shotgun, snap, all of those type of things. They're going to go through the motions, see if it affects any of his ability, and also how he feels, again, catching the ball and throwing the ball, running. I don't know how you simulate falling, but he needs to, like he said, Tomlin kept saying it's about him protecting himself. He gets hit, and the way he got injured, you try to brace yourself. Is it going to further damage the hand, and can you protect it? So we'll see. And I guess we'll know more as the week goes on, whether or not he's going to play. I know, guys, that I haven't been keeping up with my pregame shows because I've just been, my weekends have been jam-packed with sports. So I apologize for that. But, if Aaron Rodgers does not play, I'll try to find somewhere where I can sneak it in, maybe Saturday, because we do have tournaments again this Saturday, but our games are late. His basketball games are late in this tournament. The first one isn't until, I want to say, like 5 something. So I'll be at home most of that morning. So we'll see. But anyway, we're going to keep an eye on that. Alex Highsmith is still limited with a pec, and Tomlin didn't talk as highly of him as far as saying that he will participate. He basically said he's going to start the week limited. So we'll see how that goes. I just heard the donation chime, so shout outs to whoever that is for the Wonder Bread, and I will get to you in a moment. Just not looking at the screen right now, but I'll come right to you in a second. Let me get through the injuries really quick. Keyshawn Williams is in the protocol, concussion protocol. We kind of talked about that on Sunday. Slay should be back. Mike Tomlin is optimistic about him being available. So we're going to talk about that. Cole Holcomb also should be on his way back. They will be keeping an eye on Jaylen Warren. No damage or anything like that. But he did say, the standard thing that Tomlin always says, there's some things that may limit them early in the week, but participation will be the guide. So I would imagine if Jaylen Warren is not dealing with any significant injury, meaning significant in terms of pain, obviously it's not a significant thing, but as far as his tolerance of whatever the injury is, I would imagine outside of that, he'll probably play. Siamalo also may be limited, but should be available. And there you have it. So, couple things that I want to talk about that came out of the presser. And this is a big one. But let me grab the Wonder Bread first. Round of applause to the real deal. Appreciate that. He says, I'm ready to see Perk Rodgers play. Wow. Okay. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. But yeah, man, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. If they shoot the hand up or whatever, I don't know. I mean, I imagine there will be some type of brace, but again, Are you able to protect yourself? As Mike Tomlin said, again, the injury, now that I know, because I didn't see it in the replay, because again, I watched the condensed version. Apparently Rodgers was attempting to protect himself as he falls to the ground, and that's how he, has a small fraction in his hand. So again, that's an instinct thing, right? So if your hand is compromised, what happens in that situation? It is likely in the game that you're going to get hit. You may even get sacked, right? It's likely that you're at least going to get hit. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see what else we got, man. Here's a question I have for y'all. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about that Tomlin said. I love this, by the way. They asked Tomlin about the spitting incident and basically, well, how do you coach your players? I'm paraphrasing. How do you coach your player to deal with a situation like that? What is the message? And Tomlin said, I have no message if someone spits in your face. Do what comes natural. Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to throw a round of applause for that, and I'll tell you guys why. That's a real answer right there. I can't say the phrase that I want to say. Some of y'all know. That's a real answer right there, bro. I'm keeping it 1,000 wow. I love it. Yeah. Some of y'all know. That's a real answer right there. And that's exactly what I was saying on Sunday. Listen, I don't advocate violence or anything like that at this stage of my life. I'll tell y'all something different. I hope, guys, forgive me, I keep trying to adjust this light, man. Hold on, guys. There we go. I hope I have seen my last physical fight. And the reason why I say that, not that I'm afraid or not that I don't feel confident if I had to get into a physical altercation, but what would be the purpose at this stage of my life? Honestly, as a family man, unless I'm protecting my family, which that go without saying, or if somebody spits in my face. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating the violence. I'm not waving the pom-poms for that, but I respect it as a man. You ain't gonna spit in my face and no. Something gotta happen to you. I would imagine the exact same thing that Jalen Ramsey did is what I would do in real life. And I love hearing Mike Tomlin as the head coach of an NFL football team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we know. I love the fact that he did not go with the PC answer. In case some of you guys don't know what that means, I know some of the younger crowd, and respect and salute to you guys. So I've learned that there's some very young viewers of this show. PC stands for politically correct. Translation, what does politically correct mean? Is what you should do in the situation, what you should say, because it's peaceful. It's the right thing to say. I'm so glad that Mike Tomlin didn't do that. So glad that you know what? I ain't got no message for that. Do what comes natural. I support that. If somebody spits in your face. So that's the only reason why I wanted to mention that, man. I love it. I love it. Love it. But all right, man, let me get to the other thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Mark Cunningham talking about Newport News. Yeah, man, listen, man. Love it, yeah. Tomlin from the Tidewater area, man. Yeah, man. But anyway, man, let me get back to something else he said that I'm not too excited by. And I want to get you guys' opinion on this because I do understand, and it's not like he said that he wouldn't play if this player returns, but Mike Tomlin also said if Darius Slay is healthy, he's going to play, meaning he's going to get the snaps, the starting snaps. He did say that does not mean that we're not going to utilize James Pierre. But yes, Darius Slay will play. Now, I want to ask you guys this because I meant to listen to it, finish listening to it. I started to listen to it. I didn't get to the end of it. The last episode of the Terrible Podcast from Alex and Dave, I sent the question to them as well. Because again, guys, a lot of times when I have an opinion, I would ask people that I respect, and I know that they're going to look at it from a real view, not just an emotional view. I talk to friends, talk to Kenyon, Tony, many people that I know that's going to give me the objective answer. So I said, you know what? Let me send an email. Let me ask Alex and Dave how they feel about that. And I kind of alluded to James Pierre possibly getting the start over Slay, and this was the reason why I said that. I didn't elaborate it in the email because I didn't want to make the email so long, but I feel like, just so you guys understand, I feel like the Steelers can do more defensively with Pierre than they have done with Slay. Case in point, you can let James Pierre line up man-to-man and have confidence that he's going to basically play the technique. He's shown that. Excuse me. He's shown it. He's always shown it in spots. Now, he hasn't always been great, but he's shown it since he's been with the Steelers in spots. The times that he's had to play this year, he's played solid. He's been more in the hip pocket of the receiver or at least close to tackle to catch when he was in that situation, utilizing his length, his speed, his youth. I think you're able to do more things with him than you can do currently with Darius Slay. That's not an indictment against Slay. Y'all, I've been saying that since he got signed in the summer. He's just older. Darius Slay is not big play Slay anymore. So I want to ask you guys, how do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about Slay automatically getting the nod over James Pierre if he's healthy? I'm just curious to see how you guys feel. What y'all got? Let me see. Yeah, very good point. Very good point, Knight Rider. He says it's money. They paying that contract. They playing the contract, yeah. That could be possible. I got you. Steeler Card says Slay is a liability. He shouldn't be on the field at all. Some have said that. Mr. Winningham says James Pierre has earned the job, at least an audition. You ain't never lied. and Mr. Winningham, he's earned one of them wink auditions. Like, hey, I need you to come in and, job is yours, but I need you to come in and do the formality. And when he get in the audition, they basically telling him what he gonna be doing in his role, as opposed to the other people who interviewing got to go through the whole full gamut. No, him, they just said, all right, this is what you're going to be doing. But, we had to go through the formality. What else you got? Steeler Card says, why does Slay offer, what does Slay have? I think you're saying, what does he have over? What are you saying? What does Slay over that Pierre doesn't at this stage? Okay. What does Slay offer that Pierre doesn't? Okay, I see your correction. That Pierre doesn't at this stage of his career. And that is an excellent point. That's what I'm saying, right? It's like the Steelers have done that a lot, guys, over the last several years. And I think we've gotten better with playing younger people. But remember when it was always the depth chart? You know what I mean? It's like it took a long time for somebody to get more playing time or overtake somebody on the depth chart. And I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not an NFL coach. I'm sure there's a method to the madness, but what Steeler Card said right there is exactly, that's the point. What does he offer you that James Pierre can't right now? And James Pierre is the hot hand, right? Because I believe in riding a hot hand defensively, just like you would offensively. Just my opinion. But we'll see. Cade says, don't like it. Yeah, me neither. And Leonard Green says that's why. I think he's talking about the contract as well. Yeah, that's probably it, man. Listen, it's a business. I get it. But, you know, I would much rather see James Pierre go out there and continue to compete, man. Like I said, I just feel like we could do more with him in terms of options than what we could do with a Darius Slay at this point. So Black Magic says, talking trash with the Steelers gang, like and subscribe. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you subscribing. Listen, I have no ill will of anybody who's not Steeler Nation coming through and showing you love, engaging in banter, all of that. We welcome it. What else? Anybody else? Randy Wagner says, James Pierre motivates me and I'm only watching him on TV. He's fire. Yeah, the guy's playing pretty well so far, man. Pretty well. Uh-oh. So who's Black Magic's team? Because I see. Oh, okay, never mind. I misread what Kenyon said. I think he's just talking about, he said your starting DN as a rookie. I thought he was having conversation with, but he's talking about the Steelers. And yeah, if you got a rookie out there playing, then yeah. You know what I'm saying? Then why are we, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we're sticking with Slay, but again, it might be a money thing. And again, maybe it's something else that they feel like that Darius Slay is doing slightly better than, I don't know. Again, we can sit here and coach better in our minds. We think we're better coaches than what's on the staff, and I refuse to do that. I got to trust what they're doing. One last one. Jermaine White says, Coach T contradicted himself saying Jalen could have come back in, but they were riding the hot hand. Jalen was the hot hand. Well, maybe. I don't know at what point is he talking about, because yeah, Jalen Warren was a hot hand. He had that big run early, right? But it wasn't a whole lot done after that point. And maybe, again, I don't know. Maybe he just meant, Gainwell was doing some things. Maybe it was just a loose term, but I don't know. I don't know how he meant it. But I won't go as far as to say it was a contradiction. But, I try not to read too much into what these guys say and hang on every word. But I understand where you're coming from. But I would need to know, at what point, from what I remember watching the game, when Jalen Warren went down, we weren't necessarily effectively running the ball great. Jalen had that big run early. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. But again, if the way you perceive it, I'm not challenging that. I'm just saying, for me watching it, I don't know if Jalen was doing so much work to where, he's hotter than this guy when, Gainwell had already done some stuff out the backfield, had already scored early, so I don't know, but I feel you. But let's see. The next thing I want to get into, man, is just a small recap of the game, and then I'm going to get to the phone call so we can get out of here. Listen, I'll keep it short and sweet. Once again, the defense played great in terms of just keeping a lid on things and just being on top of things from a coverage standpoint. I will even say as I rewatched it, and I'm going to have to watch the play-by-play from the All-22 standpoint, but as I rewatched the game from the TV view, number 24 is close to earning his name back. He played a pretty solid game. My one finger point I have at number 24, though, is on that big run by Chase Brown, him going for the strip. And that's when you saw him kind of trying to grasp at him. Him going for the strip allowed him to get a whole lot of extra yards. So sometimes, man, just make the tackle, right? I get it. In today's NFL, they all trying to strip the ball, but you leave too much chance there for a guy to break out of that, or even as you're fighting with him, he gains 5 or 10 more yards. But in this case, clearly he couldn't get his hands on Brown after he had already gone for the strip. You see what I'm saying? So I understand we have a takeaway culture, but when you see a run breaking out like that, do what you can to try to grab him and slow him down instead of trying to punch the ball out. But I know it's easier said than done. It's easy for me to say sitting on the couch. That's an in-game, real-time moment, so his mind might have went to, whoa, let me see if I can knock the ball out. I get it. But didn't have a bad game, man, and did not draw a PI. So, again, if he gives me another game like that, I will give him his name back early. But y'all know why I took his name in the first place, so he's going to have to earn it back. But outside of that, man, listen, I still did not like us giving up that big run, and I didn't like us giving up 100 yards on the ground. You know, they didn't kill us in the run, but we still gave up explosive runs here and there. But what I do like about what the Steelers defense did, clearly we had a plan. Clearly we had a plan for Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase. And Tomlin mentioned that in both the presser after the game and today's presser. I would be lying to you guys if I were to tell you that I studied the tape last time we played the Bengals and have already studied the tape this week and tell you exactly what they did different. No, I have not done that. But clearly there was something different, right? And they took it away. And they even went as far as to say that Joe Flacco didn't seem as comfortable, wasn't as relaxed. You know, we applied a lot of pressure to him. We were getting a lot of pressure. Man, Nick Herbig, every time, man, Nick Herbig is one of those guys, and he's been doing it, is when he's on the field, he's going to make a play or he's going to affect the play. When you go back and look at that interception that Kyle Duggar got, nice call. You know, we just happened to be running, and it was a cover one, and I would imagine it was a cover one robber because Kyle Duggar came down and he literally was robbing the middle. Quick throw. And it was one of those plays where we had the 3 outside backers on the field, and Herbig starts out here on the outside, and we ran a game where we looped him around, and he ran right up the middle and applied pressure. We got pressure on the outside as well. Flacco threw that ball right to him, right? It was an excellent call. That worked. But clearly they had a plan because they literally shut down Jamar Chase. And Joe Flacco did not pass the ball with the same ease that he did it in that first contest. So, again, you got to give credit to whatever adjustments were made. I know you guys are not going to do that because, again, it's routine that Steeler Nation, for the most part, never say anything positive about the coaching staff when we win. Never. It's only when we lose that everybody should be fired and everybody got out-coached. But when we put a plan together like that, like we literally did a complete 180 against Flacco and Chase, and maybe some of you guys said it, so I don't literally mean everybody, but I didn't see nobody talking about nobody. Didn't see nobody giving a whole lot of credit to Terrell Austin, Mike Tomlin, nobody on the coaching staff after that win. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes. But yeah, man, And I didn't think we did much offensively. I think we just had big plays. You know, it wasn't like our offense was dominating. And I'm going to talk about something here in a moment in regards to Mason Rudolph. That's why I titled Rudolph Comes to Town early. You know, it was a lot of individual efforts. Not a whole lot of deep shots down the field or anything like that. We kind of matriculated our way down the field at times, but it was a lot of individual efforts from guys like Kenneth Gainwell, guys like Darnell Washington, guys like Jaylen Warren early on that opening drive, right? But it wasn't anything where I could say, and again, some of you guys might not understand what I'm saying because, of course, you want big plays. But there wasn't a lot of plays that I recall that I was like, wow, that was well executed. You know what I mean? It was more like, you know, even Tomlin talked about it. It was a lot of yak. You know what I mean? So I can't say that our offense was explosive. We just had some explosive moments. But again, the defense scored 2 touchdowns. See what I mean? So the offense didn't have a 30-point output, but I'm not going to say they played bad. I'm just saying it wasn't an offensive explosion, if you will. And maybe you guys understand what I'm saying. Maybe you don't. And, you know, and of course, you know, I see your comment there, Knight Rider. You're saying, let's be honest, the Bengals defense is all-time bad. I mean, yeah, the Bengals have not been a good defense, but again, I'm not taking away. I don't know, again, why we do that as well as a fan base. I don't care who they play. They have to execute. You're supposed to do that, right? Because when they don't do that, that's when we on them. How do you not do that to this team? Matter of fact, we were on them in the first game when the Bengals were able to run the ball as well as they did. And up until they played us, they hadn't ran the ball well. So to me, I don't play the game of, oh, well, this team was bad. This team was. You're supposed to take care of your business. So I don't make excuses for when it's good or bad. Yeah, you're supposed to put points up on them, just like we did the first time. We put up more points on them the first time we played them. So, you know. But I think this was just a defensive game, man. I mean, just a lot of plays, you know, the interception. And I didn't even realize that until I rewatched the game that Echols forced that ball out and Pierre was Johnny on the spot. And just big plays, man, by Pierre, you know, contesting that deep ball to Chase, being in perfect position, making that play without being called for PI. And again, the individual efforts, man, from Darnell Washington and Kenneth Gainwell, man, it can't go unstated. It can't. Now, let me talk about the last thing really quick. Mason Rudolph, 12 for 16. I can't remember how many yards it was. I'm not going to look it up. It was 100 and something. But here's the thing. I will acknowledge something that one of you said in the chat after the game Sunday. Now, you didn't say this verbatim. I believe the comment was Mason Rudolph is better than Aaron Rodgers. That was kind of the general statement that was made. But this is where I will agree in terms of me comparing the two from what I saw. If you're asking me which guy do I think makes the offense more potent, big playability and all of that, I'm still going to say Aaron Rodgers today. But what I saw from Mason Rudolph is willing to stand in that pocket. Mason Rudolph clearly was better at standing and hanging in the pocket than Aaron Rodgers was in the game. Absolutely. They have two different play styles. I think Aaron Rodgers can create more plays than Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph over the duration of his career so far, he's gotten to a point, because remember, you guys used to criticize him for this. Y'all used to say, oh, he don't make no reads. Okay, well, let's say he didn't back then. Mason Rudolph now is a guy that kind of goes through his progressions. We even saw that in the last year he played with us in that 4-game stretch. Mason Rudolph has developed into that type of guy, stand in the pocket, read his progressions, and makes the throw. That's what he looks like to me. Now, am I saying he does it on a great level? I wouldn't necessarily say great, but that is what he's become. He'll stand and hang in there, goes through his progressions, and generally seems to make the right read at times. Will still take shots down the field as well. That play and that pass to DK Metcalf didn't go unnoticed. It got called back. But that is the Mason Rudolph we know, right? The last time he played for the Steelers, we saw him do that. But I still think if you're asking me which quarterback can make more plays, right? Potentially make more plays, I still would say it's probably Aaron. Because Aaron has done it throughout the season. See, again, I'm not going to just look at the last 2 games or whatever and say, oh, see, no, we're not going to act like Aaron Rodgers hadn't played pretty solid for us for the duration of the season. But I say all that to say, is Mason Rudolph capable of playing like he played a couple years ago for us? Sure. I think so. I don't have the same we're doomed feeling anymore. Again, because of the recent history of Mason Rudolph as a Steeler. But I'm still not, standing on the building screaming, Rudolph. No, he is who he is, right? Serviceable backup. Can get you some games, but he's not anybody's franchise quarterback, at least in my opinion. But again, that's not a knock on him. You need you a solid veteran quarterback that can come in there and win some games. Not mad at that. But I just wanted to say that, man, he looked very poised in that game. So I got to give him a ton of credit for that. He definitely did. He definitely did. So there you have it. So some of you guys are going to be on the side of Rodgers, and some of y'all are going to be on the side of Rudolph. Me personally, I'm on the side of Will Howard and whoever else. It is time for the Steelers to invest in a young guy again. Okay, you tried and you crapped out with Kenny Pickett. Try again. Try again. Will Howard could be it. Maybe not. If he ain't, try again. Keep trying. Because we're going to have to find that young, fresh franchise quarterback. And you're going to miss some targets before you finally hit the bullseye. That's how it goes. But all right, guys, let's grab a few phone calls and get out of here. Don't know who was first, but I know who we're going to take first. And that is always Mr. Winningham is who we're going to bring on first, guys. So let me cue him up and get him on. Hello, Mr. Winningham. How you doing tonight, sir?
So let me cue. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Oh,
can you hear me?
My bad, Mr. Winningham. I had it on. I had it on mute in the Discord.
yeah. I was sitting there listening. I was like, wait a minute. But
there we go.
I'm gonna start it off with y'all. Jalen Ramsey is that dog. He is that dog, and that's something we've been missing for a long time on our team because of the quiet nature of T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward's age starting to creep up in him, because I'm not seeing enough plays out of these guys, and I'm gonna have to get on that. But back in the day in the 7.57, a man like Jamar Chase spitting in your face is not going to end good, and it's not going to be fisticuffs. So Jamar Chase, you better smarten up on that, because I went to North State University, and I remember back in the day, It used to be rat-a-tat-tat all the time around that school. But secondly, if Aaron Rodgers has to sit out, I don't know, maybe you guys agree with me or disagree with me. Maybe that's a good thing because maybe it'll give him a chance to reset. Aaron Rodgers, the balls have been sailing so much on with him lately, and the inaccuracies. So I'm hoping that what it depends on whatever this injury situation is that we utilize him. Lastly, guys, let's appreciate not Broderick Jones, good Lord, Donnell Washington for everything that we see him doing. I mean, he looks like Rambo out there. Mark Rivaro, he just looks amazing. But in the future, as his body matures, he will make millions of dollars as a left tackle in the NFL. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody have a great week. Thank you.
Man, Mr. Winningham, thank you so much. Always appreciate you coming on. And I'm glad you mentioned the Aaron Rodgers thing because I just remembered something else I was going to say that I heard Dan Orlovsky say earlier today, and I actually agree. He said, hey, sit him. No need to rush him out there the very next week. He was like, have confidence that Mason Rudolph can go win you a game and you don't have to rush him. I actually agree with that. And Mr. Winningham made a good point there. Aaron Rodgers has, been a little off. If we want to talk about the prior game, not this Sunday, but the one before that, the stinker. Yeah. So, maybe, listen, take your time, let that hand rest up a little bit. And I know you can't, cure a fracture in a week, but I just don't know about rushing them back out there so soon. If you don't have to, if you have the confidence in a Mason Rudolph, like you say you do, then why not? But again, if Aaron Rodgers, if he must play, right, it has to be the right decision. It can't just be because he wants to play. So I'm not opposed to that. And I'm also going to keep an eye on what you said too, man, about Donnell Washington, because that could be a thing. It could be a thing. I mean, right now, the dude is playing tight end and he's out there rumbling and bumbling, but he's also showing himself to be a really good blocker. He has the body type and frame. So yeah, you never know. This might be a guy that, how like Jalen Ramsey now, he wasn't forced into it, but how corners always transition to safety, some of the good ones. Maybe we see that from a Donnell Washington. We might see him eventually say, all right, now it's time for me to not run so many routes and things like that. Let me just, do some pass blocking and earn millions of dollars. So let's keep our eyes on that. All right, next up, I believe it was Infamous Tim. So let me get Infamous Tim on. Tim, what's going on, man? What you got for us?
Hey, Sim, I'll keep this brief. I had two things. Firstly, to anyone who claims that Mike Tomlin and his coaching staff is the worst coaching staff in the league and they need to be fired immediately, isn't really being intellectually consistent, because when you look at the way we played against the Bengals last week versus the way we played against them previously, you don't just go from holding, giving T. Higgins and Jamar Chase 500 yards a pop, it seemed like, to the next time you play them. I think Jamar had 20 yards, if that. T. Higgins had a touchdown, and that was about it. You don't just go from giving up all them yards to essentially strapping them up, and it just be because the players are playing harder. No, that's called scheme, and that's called coaching. You learn from your mistakes, and you make adjustments. That's what those guys do. Now, if you want to say, Mike Tomlin, his tenure in Pittsburgh has run its course, I might disagree with you, but I'm not going to argue with you if that's just how you feel. But to say that this coaching staff is dumb and incompetent is just ridiculous. My second thing is more of a gripe. I said this last week. I'm really, really critical on this team, a little bit more critical than you are. I'm a film junkie. I used to play DB, so I love watching DB receiver matchups. I look at the film of DK Metcalf, and I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. I still think he's a legitimate number one receiver. I'm just a little disappointed in his ability to both beat press and get open. Now, I knew he was never a route technician, but whenever I see DBs really press up on him, his ability to get off that press and to legitimately create separation just really isn't there. And in this offense, where we're not really, giving receivers a lot of gimme routes and, scheming them open, we kind of trust our receivers to break open and beat their man one-on-one. He's just not doing it as consistently as I would like. A receiver I really wish we still had, you guys are going to hate me for saying this because a lot of Steelers fans don't like him, but Deontay Johnson, I mean, his route running capabilities, if you watch the film and take name brand and your personal feelings out of it, you watch how he runs routes. He was a top 10 route runner in the league. Yeah, he had, drop problems, but this offense, we have two types of receivers. You got your big body guys in DK Metcalf and Ben Skoranek, and then you got deep threats in Calvin Austin and Scotty Miller, and then whatever the hell uh, Roman Wilson is. So we don't really have a receiver that can get open in a phone booth. I wish we still had that. It might not have to be a Deontay Johnson, but I wish we had that type of receiver that could get open on third down and then not just be a bubble screen to DK Metcalf, a go route to DK Metcalf where you ask him to, catch in traffic. That's all I had for you. Thank you.
Man, Tim, you said a whole lot, and I'm definitely going to reply. Guys, Tim is spot on, man, in what he's saying. I haven't watched DK as intently on film, but I think even if you're not watching the 22, it doesn't seem like DK is such a physical presence at all times, right? Off the line. I've seen a couple times this year where a guy's pressing up on him and he might beat him with his feet, not his hands or anything like that. But I think what Tim is saying is he's just not that physical presence that you would expect him to be more consistently. And he may have a point. He definitely has a point with anybody who's watching, like he said, that really understands. He definitely is not a route technician. That's why I was saying to you guys last week, he's a number one receiver in a different realm, right? He's not even the CeeDee Lamb type. You understand what I'm saying? He's more of a bigger George Pickens. Even though George Pickens, with the Cowboys, he seems to be running some different routes, not extraordinary routes, but he's, they're catching him on out routes and stuff like that, and, over routes. Some of the stuff we started to try to do with him, before he left. But those guys are not the Jamar Chases. They're not the Justin Jeffersons of the world. And the next thing I'm going to definitely comment on, Deontay Johnson. I cannot remember the amount of times some of y'all killed me in this chat. And you guys who've been rocking with me for a long time, y'all know how much I campaigned for Deontay Johnson. Y'all know how many times I defended. Man, y'all crazy. That dude is the best route runner we have. He is a route technician. His foot work, or as Shaq would say, his feet work. That boy feet work was something different. Deontay Johnson was the only receiver that we've had in a very long time since Antonio Brown that could beat man press with his feet and route running with the route technician ability. Like he said, running routes in a phone booth. That boy, y'all remember that pivot and whip route he used to run? What? His return route? Come on, man. Come on. I always said that. Y'all know that. I know y'all real ones know that. I always talked about Deontay Johnson, and y'all killed me for it. Oh, he can't catch. Like, man. And then even the year that he supposedly had so many drops, y'all remember all them other receivers? Like, even Cooper Kupp was in that mix that had more drops than him. But you guys only focused on the drop that happened in this game. I mean, receivers drop the football sometimes. But you guys just didn't give him credit for what he was. If we had Deontay Johnson right now with DK Metcalf, See, look, Jack Bauer saying in the route running meant nothing. See, y'all not giving him. Again, I'm not here to change minds, but you guys never remembered it good. But okay. Round of applause to the infamous Tim, man, for the Wonder Bread. He said, DJ literally put Humphrey on IR by routing him. Man, let me tell y'all something. Deontay Johnson was special. He was. He was special. And he was special with the Steelers. You know, and it ain't the first time we've seen special players leave the Steelers and just not be the same. Le'Veon Bell, anybody? But, you know, like I said, I don't argue opinions. I'll comment, but I'm not going to dispute you. Appreciate it, Tim. All right, last one of the night, guys. We got Daron in the building. Let's get Daron on. What's going on, man? What you got for us?
Oh, nothing much, man. Shoot, playing a little Madden here. Let me pause that real quick. Oh, yeah. But I like some things that I seen. I didn't like some things that I seen. One, the reindeer came in shining his nose and helped us out. He did good. I said, let's give him a round of applause. We gotta give that man his flowers. Two, as a player, and Sim, you was a player too. And as a man, period, that spit was uncalled for. Like, I agree with Ramsey. I'm sorry. We got to set football aside. You just assaulted me. But I digress on that nature. We got to get a route technician. You said it. I've been talking about it. We don't have... Let's put it like this. Right now, I feel DK is a Mike Wallace. If he gets a hit of steam down the field, there's nobody catching him. But we still need Emmanuel Sanders. And everybody knock on Emmanuel Sanders. He wasn't that fast. The guy, he was only, if I remember correctly, 5'10", 5'11", but he wasn't that tall. But his route, run just like Johnson, actually better than Johnson. He ran nice, crisp routes. And that sets you, in my opinion, you could be the fastest man alive. But if you ain't getting off the line and doing the right routes to get the ball, your speed means nothing.
Absolutely, man. Cannot disagree with any of that. Appreciate the call. It's such a nuanced position, man. But like I said, again, even if you guys, you know, you don't have to have played sports to understand. Even if you watch it intently, right? You would understand that there are different types of receivers. It's the same thing that, again, you guys has been with me for years. It's the same thing I was saying about Juju. When y'all kept saying, oh, he ain't no number one. Y'all was trying to make him the number one receiver after AB. They are not the same. They're completely not the same. That's why y'all remember then I was like, look, I get what you're saying, but no, he probably is not a number one receiver in that regard. And he wasn't. You know, Juju benefited from Antonio Brown. Juju was the perfect complement in the slot to what we had on the outside at that time. So the Steelers chose to, not really chose, I mean, because we understand what happened with Antonio Brown and how he left. But, you know, they had a season where they said, okay, we're going to run with Juju. And come on, man, that just, again, the expectations that I think the fan base put on him as the number one receiver was just crazy. But you can't compare apples to apples with receivers. You just can't. There are guys that are different. Like I said, DK Metcalf to me is a number one receiver. He's just not the type of number one receiver that an Antonio Brown was. Two different types of guys, man, completely. I want to say something else really quick, too, before I go. I'm seeing a whole lot of talk about George Pickens. Now, let me qualify what I'm going to say by saying this is just my opinion. Some of you guys will agree, some of you guys won't. But for my own opinion, I want to put something to bed. First, I want to put to bed the argument of the Steelers let George Pickens go by trading him. They were dumb for doing so. Can you guys not remember why George Pickens got traded in the first place? Have we forgotten all of that? Matter of fact, some of you guys in this very chat, some of y'all in this very chat said that y'all no longer wanted him. Get rid of him. And some of you guys are the ones that are saying now we should have kept. Yes. I'm telling you, there are names right in this chat that said they did not want George Pickens and he needed to go for whatever reason y'all had at that time. It was valid. And now you're saying we should have kept him. Do y'all really remember why George Pickens is no longer a Steeler? George Pickens started to become a problem. And it is my belief, again, let me say this loud and clear. This is just my opinion. I think George Pickens worked his way out. I think he purposely started saying, you know what, I'm going to get out of here. That brings me to my other point. Do y'all remember, or let's just say, can y'all recall a reason why George Pickens might not have wanted to remain in Pittsburgh? Let me see what y'all say about that. Let me see what y'all say about that. Do y'all have any reason why y'all think George Pickens would have left? The first two comments here are both correct. Let me read a few. Steeler Card says Pickens was never getting a second contract in Pittsburgh. Facts. Randy Wagner says George Pickens had bad attitude. He was not a team player with our Steelers. George Pickens was uncontrollable here as a Steeler. Another fact from, again, speculative facts, right? That's what we're saying facts, but he showed us that. Kenyon said, George Pickens checked out of Pittsburgh, remember? Derek Moore says Pickens is acting new over there, give him time. Lawrence Holcomb says contract year and he needed a valuable quarterback. Remember that. Round of applause to C.T. Pittman. C.T. Pittman says, people forget that even in relationships, you have an ex for a reason. Facts. Man, Lawrence Holcomb, Knight Rider. Who else? Hip Hopotamus. All three of you guys are hitting on what I'm about to go to. And then hip hop says the coaching staff. Of course, you're going to include the coaching staff as if the Dallas Cowboys has this phenomenal coaching staff. But listen to this. What quarterback was George Pickens ecstatic about in his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Not Kenneth Pickett. He might not have had an issue with Mason Rudolph, but, you know, again, guys, anybody that watches the NFL knows Mason Rudolph is not a world beater. Pickens wasn't getting a whole lot of targets and attention with Fields or Russell Wilson. Was not sure what the quarterback situation was going to be for 2025. I would imagine that's part of the reason why he was done in Pittsburgh, from his own perspective. And I see a lot of you guys saying, well, you know, he went to Dallas, he got better. I ask y'all this. Did George Pickens get better, or did he get Dak Prescott? I repeat, did George Pickens get better, or did he get Dak Prescott, not only Dak Prescott, a different offensive philosophy that includes both receivers, 3 receivers, because they run 11 personnel often as well. So that would just be my only dispute. George Pickens was already like that. I hate speaking about things that I say in the past, but I recall sitting here on this show even defending George Pickens. Y'all remember that? At times when he didn't have the best game, I was like, look, I don't care what y'all say. That boy talent, he is a freak of nature. I don't think George Pickens just out of the blue got better. I think he just got Dak Prescott. And he got more inclusive in the plan to get him the football. That's what happened. So, again, I'm not gonna beat the Steelers up for not having George Pickens and saying they're stupid. No, I think the Steelers did the best they could. They were not going to re-sign him. He was ready to go. They were able to get some value for him while they still could. And that's it. There's it. But, yeah. Shout outs to George Pickens. I mean, and the odd thing is he's still in the struggle bus right now in terms of the team. They going to be fighting, kicking and clawing to even try to sniff the playoffs. So, but shout outs to George Pickens, man. I want the kid to get paid. I have no beef. I have no beef with George Pickens, man. Again, I'm not that type. You know, shout outs to that brother. I hope he gets his money. He's earning it. And it is what it is. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for me, man. I think that's all I got. Appreciate y'all tonight, man. Nice crowd, nice comments, nice banter. Everybody respecting one another, and that's all I ever asked for, man. That's all I ever asked for, is that we're never disrespectful to each other. We can agree with each other. But just don't be disrespectful. One more round of applause, man, for some more Wonder Bread. Appreciate that, Walter Worthy. He says, props to CT Pittman, fans and media looking at the Instagram post with the new BBL, but forgot all those times they came at you with the meat cleaver. That is hilarious. That is hilarious, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say. But yeah, guys, listen, this was a great one tonight, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Like always, love y'all to death, man. Y'all know that. There's no show without you guys. There's no show without you guys and gals. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me, man. And you know, again, like I said, I love the banter. I love the back and forth banter and the opinions and nobody being disrespectful. And, you know what I mean? That's what it should be about. That's what it should be about. But all right, guys, y'all know the routine, man. Before I go, if you're new here, hit that like button if you like the content. But if you're new, subscribe to the channel. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel, man. Why not do that? It's free. It is free. The only thing that is not free is exclusive content where I go through the all 22 and I'm trying to find some more content to bring you guys. That is a paid service. You have to be a channel member in order to view that. I will be getting that footage out as well sometime this week. But also, before you go, I'm going to give y'all my famous PSA each and every time because I really, truly mean it. Guys, please stay safe out there. Stay healthy. God bless. Good night. Like always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. And I did forget the big hat moment tonight. I will bring that back. I promise. But y'all take care. And we'll be talking to you guys soon. Peace.